So thanks, folks. It's what keeps you awake at night, what keeps business owners and executives and everybody in business. They're saying, how do I increase revenue? Yep, I slipped on the mouse. Decrease the expenses, increase the marketing ROI. In other words, get more bang from a marketing buck, increase productivity and efficiency, and increase profits. Those are the five things that I'm looking at when I'm working business. Ultimately, nobody gets up to say, I want this. This is what they're trying to solve. What's the problem they're going to solve? If you've got a drill, why do they want a hole? It's not the hole they want, it's what they're going to do with the hole. So there are five things about that they can do to change those activities. They can work with their existing customers. They can get more prospects. They can get new customers. They can change the number of transactions, and they can change the transaction value. Any of those, and this is what I'm going to briefly show you tonight, what those things can do. So between them, there's five steps that many businesses forget. They say, I've got to get more marketing, got to do this. These are the only things that change at all in the business, is that you got your existing customers, and they're the first ones you should look at if you're trying to do something, you need it now. And prospects are harder because they're more expensive, five times more expensive than a new customer to get a sale from. When you're talking about customers, there's three types of customers. I've talked about this before. You've got existing customers. So where do we get them from? Or what are they? There's the conversion, the selling ability, the value add, pricing, bundling, reputation management. You can see some of the way activities do that, risk reversal. So you're using people here in the group to be able to do these type of activities. I just might go back to that one, the types of customers, if you don't mind. There are three types of customers. There's a current customer, there's a past customer, and you've got to define what a current customer is to be able to define what a past customer is. And in the middle of those, I call them inactive or lapsed customers or customers at risk. And if you can divide the first two, you can define what an at-risk customer is. Because there are people who want to buy from you, but something's going wrong or there's something going on in their life that's going to give them a reason to exit from you. And you want to be able to identify those. When you look at the number of transactions, what can you do to change that? Have seasonal campaigns, have make-believe seasons. In a financial year is a make-believe season, but every year we do it. Yeah. Father's Day is a make-believe reason. Back to school, events, trade shows, seminars, networking events, and things like that. That's how you can change the number of transactions. The transaction value, you can use customer transactions. You can use value adding, price, time, specific, scarce, and do whatever you want to do. Bundles, upsell, and cross sell, and they are different. And guarantees, worth more. I know of a roofing company that offered a money back guarantee if it doesn't right, but they charged three times as much as the competition, but they were an extremely profitable customer. And revenue. Now, this is the revenue forecast, and I'm going to show you briefly what this is because I'm conscious of the time. There are only three numbers that gives you the revenue forecast. The number of leads, and I'm calling that anything that comes in the business from which you think you might get business from. The dollars that you might sell that to that lead, those average leads, the average dollar, and your conversion rate. And if you do that and you say that's by over 12 months, that's every month, you multiply that the outcome of that number by 12 and you'll get an annual revenue forecast. So if you do that number, for example, you'll find that that's 15,000 a month. You multiply that by 12 and you get the answer. Sales and speed. And this is about a little bit about cash flow. This line here can represent your cash flow. What is the number of leads that you're getting in, the average dollar, and the percentage of your conversion rate? If you know that, and you know that over a period of time, then you're talking about what your sales velocity is. Anybody want to take a guess? Which is, if you change one number of those four, which one would you change to get the biggest result? Anybody want to
Time.
just, the what? Sorry?
Time.
Time? Yeah.
Time.
Yep. That's it. Pete, you've seen that before. You cheated.
No.
But it is. It is that time. If you can shorten the time, you're getting more money in faster. So if you take that, for example, that same equation that we had before, that's $500 per day over 30 days. And so if you want to get more money in faster, what would you change? You'd try to get it down to 20 days or whatever. Revenue sources, leads, prospects, referrals, and price increases are potential revenue sources. Probable, the most likely sources of revenue to go for are current customers, past customers, and lapsed customers. So just remember that. That's your most probable source of income for quick cash. People who know you and have bought from you previously. So then you got the retained customers, increase the value, the sales pipeline, and new customers. Remember, prospects become customers, but customers are always prospects. Now, I'm going to change screens, so I'm going to stop sharing for just a brief moment, and I'm going to show you the numbers. This is going to be a live demo, so hopefully this will work. On the screen, you can see, and I would never give this to a customer to do, but you can see what this is. If I go in here and the current thing is the current number of customers, and they have two customers purchasing each month, and there's an average number of transactions per customer is one, and the average transaction is $1,600. That is $19,800 of gross monthly revenue if we change numbers around. We do any of these things, we change any numbers. This is on the left-hand side, we're showing annual revenue. This is the 42,000 down here. And this number over here is this one over here, this one here. So if I change that there, so we're going to increase the gross number of sales per month by 30%. Okay. I can't make the change. Just on always on a good time to do that. But we can have those, you can see what those changes, when we make those type of changes here, it has a massive change on the revenue if you change any of the numbers. And if we have the monthly sales current target, there's the average monthly, and that's what it's going to do there. And we have the sales velocity down here, and it's taking those figures over here and using some of those figures, and it's predicting the sales velocity, which would be 1,014% change if we did those things. So I just want to show you that these numbers are really interchangeable. How many existing purchase? No, I can't change any of the numbers for some reason today. So I'll leave it at that one. So that just gives you an idea how you can map it out. But as I say, I'd never give this to a client to work out. But when I'm working with them, I want them to see the figures change on the fly. Any questions?
You did an amazing job because everything is very well explained. So good work.
Thanks, Marcel. Just technology beat me today. I must have
I was
spreadsheet
going
up.
to say, if you select another sheet, it might come through.
Yeah, I think I might have locked it or something. I'm not too sure quite what I've done, but not to worry.
That's right.
Got the message across. But it's those five steps, those five things. It's the only thing you can change to change the revenue. Everything else is either possibility or probable.
Yep. All right. Any other questions for Ross?
Yeah, Ross, I got one.
Yep.
Nice presentation too, mate. Hey, when you're working with a client, what's your number one piece of actionable advice that you give them to reduce that time frame to close deals?
It's the key thing there is to have it. They've got to have a process. They have to know the numbers. and monitor the numbers. If you don't monitor the numbers, they don't know that. Most businesses do not know these numbers. I can put my hand on the heart of that. I can't. I can think of only 2 businesses that even use some of those numbers. If you say to somebody, how many customers you got? Most people cannot tell you because they haven't defined what a customer is. They think everybody in their database that's bought from them is a customer. Or not.
No.
I see. So that's what you would do first. Just get a idea of do they know their numbers or not, and then explicate them for them.
Yeah. And if you ask that question, how many customers you got? And then you say, how many leads did you get last month? And they'll say, well, I'm not too sure. It might be, what do you call class as a lead? Anything, like for this purpose? Anything that you think you might generate revenue from.
Mm.
And if they
Nice. Thanks,
and
man.
they don't
Awesome.
like giving average number of transactions per customer, and they don't like giving average transaction values. They say, but it's different. Everything's different. Everything has an average. The reason why I use averages, it's one you can get off from the top of it. You can do on a paper, on a napkin, right? You can get from the top of it. Everything has an average. We know that, but when you get into the detail, then you can start separating stuff out.
Mm. We've got one from Tom.
Tom.
On the back of what Kane said is, so when you got that 30 days and you want to accelerate and increase your sales,
Yeah.
so what are some of the things you can do to get people buying sooner?
The thing is, what's stopping you? What is stopping them from buying? So, is it your communication? Are you talking to them in the language of their personality? That's why I have the bank personally profiling tool, because then you can change your marketing so that it more resonates with those personalities. You're like, hey, this is the world leading thing. This is the best thing that's ever been invented, and you can do it faster. And the person will be all action, say, yeah, let's get on with it. What's the bottom line? How much is it going to cost? There you go.
Mm.
But so if you speak their language, so each one's different. Is it, if you're going to a person who's budget conscious, a lot of people are doing it. So each one is different, but how do you do it? You have to know what it is. Why aren't they buying a product? What product would they buy? What can you do it in a bundle? Okay, so it's look at all those numbers, the things that make up the numbers. Those 5 steps make up the speed, those 3 numbers in the sales velocity.
So would you say become a master of overcoming objections and accelerate your follow-up process, speed it up?
Oh, I wouldn't say mastering. You have to become a master of sales, sure. But what you have to do is communicate, know who your customers are. You have to identify who they are. You have to segment them down. You've got groups of customers, and then you've got to talk their language. And that's why, the marketing, if you think about it, when I work with, if I go to most businesses, they've got 40, because I work in a B2B center, for those who don't know. I work primarily in B2B or businesses that have customers that come back on a repeat basis of some kind. And they do proposals, or they do quotes, or they things like that. 40 to 70% of quotes are sitting up in the follow-up have not been closed. And at least 66% of those are really dead. They should have a no beside their name, but nobody wants to get the answer. But you don't get up in the morning and say, I want to go and get more yes. To get more yeses, we get more no's, right? You don't want another no. You want another yes. So what you're going to do is change the language that you use to talk to people. So when you've got somebody's action, you can be move and shake a million your maker. And if you get somebody who's blueprint, risk averse, you step-by-step processes, you don't need more. Often you don't need more leads. What you do need is to convert more, get more yeses from the leads you've got. And if you do that, your expenses are going to go down because your marketing is going to become more effective. You're not spending more on your marketing. You might be able to drop it down because it's more effective. You're going to have more staff are going to be more productive. They're going to be more engaged because they're having success.
But personally, I think you don't have to become a master at anything. You just need to be 1% better. So 1% better at the flyer that you send, 1% better at maybe the podcast that you send in advance, 1% better on the content on your website, 1% better on your conversation cycle that you have with the client. Add that to about 20 or 30 other things. Now you got 20, 30% better conversion overall because it all works together.
If you increase the performance of your business by 0.003% a day, you do it every day of the year, at the end of the year, you'll be 100% better. And you can't see the impact of 0.003% a day for about a month and a half, and you start seeing it. By the 6 months, you'll really see it. By the end of the year, you'll be 100% better. But if you don't, you don't need 100%. You only need, if you say you need 10%, and that book, Pete, I've just ordered the 10 times is better than 2 times from a discussion. But this is what this is about. People think it's about overcoming objections. When you go overcoming objections, what you're trying to do is turn more no's into yeses. But what you're not doing is you're going to struggle to do it. The research shows that 82% of people will buy from you if you present your sales pitch to them in their language personally. That was in the late 1990s by the Charlie Group. Okay, so only 80% will buy from you if you don't present in their personality type. But 3 times more, 82% will buy from you if you do it. And it's about language, talking to them and looking and understanding who they are.
And tell them what they want to hear, not what they need to know.
No, tell them what they want to hear in the language they want to know. Okay, so it's talking their languages. The same product, I can, my product, my services, right? If I talk to somebody, I say, look, I've got a step-by-step process. We take you through the planning page. These are the steps we're going to go through, and this is what's going to happen. And when we do it, this is what we're going to do. That's going to appeal really to a blueprint. And and this is within your budget. If you want a nurturing person, this is going to help you build a better team. You're going to be able to focus on your customers and build a better community. And if you're talking to that, they're more likely to convert. Still talking about the same product. You're just using different words and phrases and avoiding certain things that trigger them. Like, don't tell a blueprint, this is the best thing, sliced bread, and it costs a fortune because it's outside their budget. But it comes back to those 5 things. You've got the tools in front of you, customers, prospects, number of transactions, number of transaction values, and your conversion rate. You can change any of those by using the right marketing and stuff like that and sales techniques. But don't think of sales as the traditional sales. I challenge you to think of it in terms of speaking the language of the people that you're talking to. If you're recruiting people, what are they looking for? What's their personality type when they're applying to an advertisement? There's a person who used the personality tool recently, and they did their team, and within 1 week they moved one of the team members away from support and customer service and moved them into another area because they were very blueprint. They don't like their days in front, they like to be planned, and they like team. So they got somebody in who liked customer service, but it was action. They were flexible and not looking for the opportunities and things like that. And they did that in a week because they found that they had people in the wrong spot because they weren't talking the same language. Sorry, I'm a little bit off track, but it all goes back to that. It's how you do that. Pete.
Yeah, that bank stuff definitely works. There's been a bit of a hiccup with me onboarding with it, but there's a tool in it which, when you give it the bank code of the person you're writing an email, for example, it will redraft the email in their language. And I used it this morning. I'd written out the email and I set the set the contact who it was, and the email that came back, exactly the same information, but it was a lot shorter. It was a lot more direct, a lot more high impact, because this particular contact is high on the A at the action. It suggested a change to the subject heading, and I know that I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that the redrafted email from the bank system is going to land with this contact better than the one that I wrote, because it's his language. So yeah, I can't recommend that process highly enough.
Okay.